Hey guys, and welcome to yet another whiskey review, but I think you're gonna like this one. So at first glance, this just looks like a regular bottle of High West whiskey, their American Prairie Bourbon, but you may have noticed this red stamp right here that says Barrel Select, and this is also higher proof. This is 49.3% alcohol. This is a single barrel select from K&L Wine and Spirits, which is a local place near me in Hollywood, which, by the way, if you're from the Los Angeles area, it's such a great spot. I check their website all the time. They always get really cool limited release stuff in stocks, so check them out if you're in the area. But yeah, I have tried lots of High West products. My favorite would be their Midwinter's Night Dram, which I've only tried that twice. It's a really popular one that comes out around the holidays. It's a high proof rye and it's finished in port barrels, so that's why I picked this one up. So normally their American Prairie Bourbon, it's a blend of different bourbons, but the single barrel select program, they can actually pick ones that have been finished in other barrels. So K&L is a genius, and they realized that this is finished in the same port barrels that the Midwinter's Night Dram is finished in. The only difference is this is bourbon versus rye. So the actual spirit that's in the American Prairie is a blend of 3 different bourbons. The first of which is a 2-year-old bourbon sourced from Indiana, and then it has a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old Kentucky bourbon in it as well. So I think it's cool that they're blending a bunch of different whiskeys. Blending whiskey can create an amazing bottle, and I have a feeling that's what we're going to get out of this one. So I have not tried this yet. It is still sealed, as you can tell. So I figured I would uncork it and try it live for the first time for you guys. Oh yeah, you can, right off the bat, you can smell the fruitiness of this. So I brought this box. Hopefully this makes it a little better to see. I have a strong feeling that I'm going to knock this over before the end of the video. We're going to go for it. Nice. Very clean pour. So at first glance you can see this is a good bit darker than your regular bourbon. Even though there is a 13-year-old whiskey in there, it's probably not dark because of that. It's dark because of the port barrels that it's finished in. So let's give it a nose. So unlike when I smelled it directly from the bottle right away, I'm not picking up on as many of the fruity notes. They're still there, but there's this really wonderful, full, like woody oak note that, you know, is typical of bourbon, obviously. But something about this, it comes across, instead of just being astringent, it comes across as very smooth. It's like a caramelized wood. I know my descriptions sometimes don't make sense, but they're the first thing that pops into my mind, so hopefully it helps you. It almost comes across as Irish whiskey. The nose on it is a lot of that sweet, like shortbread kind of cookie note. I love Irish whiskey. Redbreast is one of my favorite whiskeys out there. So it's interesting that this kind of has some of those similar notes, and it could be from the port finishing. It's actually very reminiscent of like a Manhattan that has sweet vermouth in it. That actually, it smells like straight up like a Manhattan. If you had a really good Manhattan with the vermouth and the cherry, this is what this smells like. And like Irish whiskey, it has a very desserty note to it. It's like almost like a creme brulee or something like that. So let's give it a taste and see if it holds up to this wonderful nose. That is a good bourbon. Like I said, I haven't had that many finished American whiskeys, but what I like about this is you're not overwhelmed with the fruitiness or like a wininess of it. It still tastes like a bourbon, but instead of the typical vanilla, caramel, and oak notes you get on bourbon, you're getting a lot more fruity, sweet notes. It makes it more of a well-rounded flavor. Usually bourbons, when I say they're well-rounded, I mean that they're not overpowered with a certain note, whether it be the oak or the sweetness. You know, they're very well balanced between the main typical things you get from bourbon, but this adds another layer but doesn't make it overly complicated. It's complex, but in a way that it's just a really enjoyable experience the whole way through. Now the mouthfeel itself isn't, you know, overly viscous, if that's the word. This is technically higher proof than the regular one, but it's still, you know, right under 100 proof. So it's not quite as full of a mouthfeel as you would get from the higher barrel proofs. Cask strength whiskey, but this is really good, and actually it's not as expensive as you would think. I actually got this for only $55, which a lot of times High West products are very expensive. I've noticed that like $55 is actually a great price for one of their products, especially, you know, a barrel select that's a little different than the traditional bottling of it. And you get such a complex blend of different whiskeys at different ages that kind of balance each other out. Plus it's finished in a port barrel. So I cannot think of another bourbon in the $50 to $60 price range that's this high proof and finished. I know Belle Meade has a few. I'll have to check the proof on those. I love Belle Meade's products, and this reminds me a lot of them. So I'd be curious to try them side by side. I don't currently have any of them. I just usually have tried them at tastings. But this If you like Bell Mead products, definitely pick this up. This is a really interesting take on the finished bourbon. I love that the guys and girls at K&L picked something so interesting that's different than the standard American Prairie. I have not gotten a store pick from K&L that I didn't like. I actually have a bottle of their Elijah Craig I may do a review on eventually. So, great job K&L with this pick. Cheers. So, thank you guys so much for watching this review. I love making these whiskey reviews. Hopefully you're enjoying them a bit too. If you like this video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up and check out my other whiskey reviews. I've put a playlist together on my channel, so check that out. Until next time, drink good whiskey, and I'll see you next video. Cheers!